I didn't plan to record this. I'm sitting here because the house is quiet, and I don't know how many quiet mornings I have left. My name is Thomas Reed. I'm 82 years old. That still feels strange to say out loud. I don't feel 82 on the inside. I feel like the same man I was at 40, just slower and heavier in places no doctor ever measures. There's a sound a house makes when it's been lived in for decades, and then suddenly hasn't. It's not silence, it's a kind of waiting. I hear it every night now. I was married for 44 years, to a woman named Eleanor. I've said her name thousands of times in my life, but it lands differently now, softer, like if I say it too loudly, something might break. People talk about losing someone as if it happens all at once, like a door closing, but for me it's been a long hallway. I'm still walking down it. When Eleanor was alive, I thought I understood our life. I thought I understood her. I was wrong in ways that don't shout. They just sit with you. We met young, too young to know what we were doing, but old enough to believe we did. She laughed easily back then. Loud, sometimes. I used to think it was unnecessary. I didn't say that out loud, but I felt it. I always had a feeling that things should be quieter, more controlled. That feelings should behave. I worked, a lot. I told myself I was doing it for us, and maybe part of me believed that. Eleanor would stand in the kitchen at night, leaning against the counter while I talked about my day. Or sometimes I didn't talk at all. Sometimes I just sat there, tired, already half gone. She used to watch me when I wasn't looking. I noticed it once, in the reflection of the window. I remember thinking it was odd. I didn't ask her what she was thinking. I wish I had asked her more things. We raised children, paid bills, fixed the roof twice, buried her parents, buried mine. Life kept moving, and I mistook movement for closeness. There were moments, of course there were, holidays, photographs, shared jokes that came back every few years like old songs. But there were also long stretches of quiet misunderstanding that I thought were normal. I thought marriage was supposed to settle into something dull and dependable. I didn't know that what I was calling stability, she was slowly learning to live without. She never yelled. That's important. If she had yelled, I might have paid attention sooner. Instead, she adjusted. She became efficient with her feelings. She stopped asking for things I didn't give easily. She learned how to carry disappointment politely. I didn't see that as a warning. I saw it as peace. By the time her health started to change, I was already an old man who believed the important conversations could wait. I thought we had time. I thought tomorrow was sturdy. It turns out tomorrow is thin as paper. Eleanor got sick quietly, the way she did everything else. Nothing dramatic at first, just small changes. Slower steps, longer rests, a tiredness that sleep didn't fix. I remember one afternoon she was sitting at the edge of the bed, struggling with her shoes. I was in a hurry. I had somewhere to be. I don't even remember where now. I sighed, not loudly, just enough. She looked up at me then, not angry, just surprised, as if she'd just realized something about me that she hadn't wanted to know before. She didn't say anything. That's the part that stays with me. Hospitals have a smell that never leaves you. Even now, sitting here, I swear I can still feel it in my nose. Clean and cold and final. I sat beside her bed so many times, holding her hand, thinking that my presence alone was proof of love, as if showing up at the end could somehow stand in for everything before it. She was thinner then, her voice softer, but her eyes were clearer than I'd ever seen them. The night she spoke her last words to me, it wasn't dramatic. No machines beeping urgently, no rush of doctors, just a small lamp on the table, and the sound of rain tapping against the window. She asked me to come closer. I leaned in, expecting something practical, something about the children, or the house, or where the papers were kept. Instead, she said my name, not sharply, gently, like she was testing it one last time. Then she said, "I waited for you." That was all. 3 words. No explanation. No accusation. At the time I didn't understand them. I nodded. I told her I was there. I told her everything was going to be all right, even though we both knew that wasn't true. She smiled, just a little, and then she slept. She never woke up again. For weeks after the funeral, those words followed me around the house. I heard them when I opened the fridge, when I sat in my chair, when I lay awake at night staring at the ceiling. I waited for you. I told myself she meant waiting for me to come to the hospital that night, waiting for me to hold her hand, waiting for me to say goodbye. But deep down I knew better. The truth has a weight to it. You can avoid it for a while, but it settles eventually. I started remembering things I had filed away as unimportant. The times she paused before speaking, then decided not to. The evenings she asked how my day was, and I didn't ask about hers. The way she'd touch my arm when she wanted to say something serious, and the way I'd keep looking at the television. I remembered a Sunday afternoon, decades ago. She sat across from me at the table, twisting her wedding ring. She said, "Do you ever wonder who we'd be if we talked more?" I laughed. I said something about not overthinking things. I went back to my newspaper. I don't remember what she did after that. That's the point. Grief doesn't come all at once. It arrives in waves, and some of them look like ordinary days. Months after Eleanor died, I found a box in the closet. Inside were old letters, cards I had written her when we were young, before life taught me how to be careful with affection. I barely recognized the man who wrote them. He was open, unafraid. He said what he felt without checking if it was efficient or necessary. He told her she mattered to him, not just in function, but in presence. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being that man. I replaced words with assumptions. I replaced listening with providing. I thought love was something that stayed put once you built it. I didn't realize it needed to be noticed. The hardest part is understanding that Eleanor didn't leave me suddenly. She had been leaving slowly, for years, and I didn't feel it because she did it quietly. She waited for me to see her fully, to hear what she was saying without words, and I didn't. There's a specific kind of regret that comes from knowing you were present but absent at the same time. I was in the room. I was in the marriage. But I wasn't always with her. Now, when I sit alone in the evenings, I talk to her sometimes. Not out loud, just in my head. I tell her things I never said. Small things, unimportant things, the kind that make up a life. I don't imagine answers anymore. I've learned not to. What I have instead is clarity. It didn't arrive as a lesson. It arrived as an ache, a steady understanding that time doesn't wait for readiness. It just moves on, carrying whatever you never picked up. I wasted years thinking silence meant comfort, thinking consistency meant connection, thinking there would always be another chance to lean in closer. There wasn't. I still set 2 cups out in the morning sometimes. I don't mean to. My hands just remember. When I catch myself doing it, I don't correct it right away. I let the moment exist. It feels honest. If this recording sounds uneven, that's because I am. I'm not trying to make sense of everything. I'm just saying what's left in me while I still can. I don't know who will hear this, or when. That's all right. I'm not here to explain my life, just to finally acknowledge it. Eleanor's last words didn't change everything all at once. They opened something that had been closed for a long time. And once it opened, I couldn't pretend anymore. I see now that love isn't proven by endurance alone. It lives in attention, in choosing, again and again to really be there. I didn't understand that until there was no one left to practice it with. At my age, mornings feel borrowed, nights feel close. I spend a lot of time looking back, not because I want to live there, but because that's where the answers finally caught up with me. If you're listening, you don't have to do anything with this. You don't have to agree. You don't have to fix anything tonight.